I'm ready. Oh, world, you are tuned into Americana. This is the platform where you can find all of the latest updates on the 2024 presidential election. With only 35 days left, we are getting down to the wire. Here's what you need to know about today's campaign. Let's get into it. On the trail. Donald Trump met with Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky at Trump Tower in New York on Friday. During their discussion, Trump emphasized that it's time to bring an end to Russia's war in Ukraine. Willie, do you think this signals a shift in the approach to the ongoing conflict?
I think it does. President Trump is a very strong leader, and unlike others, he's able to go in there and make sure that things are getting done. We have spent roughly $55.5 billion in this Ukraine war,
Wow.
and I think that we need to focus on the American people and not our foreign wars.
Ms. Shakia.
Same concept. But absolutely, I think it is a shift, but it's in a shift in the wrong direction. I would say that because if you looked at the interview and you saw President Trump and President Zelensky standing next to each other, the awkwardness between them was extremely tangible. And it came from the comment that Trump mentioned that he was friends with both Putin and Zelensky. And I just thought that it was very insensitive, given the fact, the temperature of where we are in this country, and just the nature of the meeting on Friday. I think it was just really insensitive. But it's typical Trump.
Yeah.
Trump.
I think it's awkward
Okay.
because the Ukrainian president knows his paycheck days are shriveling up.
Oh.
So, and Trump is not going to play the radio like Harris and Biden has.
Okay.
No comment on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, there y'all heard that. All right. Next topic. Yup. We're going to get to it. Ah, yes. Okay. Thank you. The New York Times editorial board has named Kamala Harris as the patriotic pick for the presidency. In a surprising twist, Senator Flake of Arizona and other notable Republicans are now endorsing Harris, viewing her as the right choice to lead the country. Shakia, what do you think this means for bipartisan support moving forward?
I think it's a beautiful direction. It shows the temperature in our country is changing. It shows that you can have the values of the Republican Party, but you also know that your country comes first. And I think that the bipartisanship that we're seeing now with Republicans endorsing Kamala Harris, it goes to her demeanor as a woman, because a lot of folks were kind of uncertain if she could handle the pressure of being the president because they see women as being extremely emotional or irate. But what we have been seeing is that Donald Trump is extremely irate. He's very predictable when he comes to his rallies and inciting his base with fear tactics. And so I love the bipartisanship that we're seeing. We have, a number of groups. When she was announced 6 weeks ago as the nominee, we have white men for Kamala Harris. You have black men for Kamala Harris. And so just to see this turn of events is just really beautiful to watch.
Well, bipartisan shouldn't equal cowardice. I think that these individuals are cowards.
Cowardice?
Yes, cowards. I think that the individuals endorsing her are afraid of someone that has a backbone to bring our country forward, and they're afraid that they're going to have to get in order. And so we have a lot of these Republicans, they don't have any dog in the fight, and neither are there any relevance to the Republican Party. They're just individuals that are just mad at Trump that they didn't get a position of some kind.
But this comes from a party that glorifies division and glorifies not being able to accept a loss. hence January 6th.
Most of the posts that I see is division from the left. Everything is talking about bad Republicans. When VP Harris was asked about a plan forward, it's always repetition.
Let's not talk about the nominee who has a plan, because y'all have a concept.
She has a recipe for collard greens in a bathtub.
Oh,
that's what she has.
this is what he said.
You know,
Okay.
these Republicans, I tell you,
Well.
very emotional,
Oh, yeah.
not demure.
Emotional intelligence.
not demure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just here to keep the peace.
Absolutely.
Well, I love it. I mean, I love the debate. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right. So, yeah. Well, we're following every move from Kamala Harris and Donald Trump every day. Now it's time to move on to political programs. All right. Welcome. A major strike, okay, could soon hit ports along the East and Gulf Coast, potentially halting trade at 14 key facilities. Longshoremen are set to walk off the job at midnight on Tuesday. With the economy at stake, business groups are pushing the Biden administration to step in. Shakia, can you predict, will there be any action that's taken before the deadline?
Yeah, I mean, my hope is that the administration steps in and make a sound decision, because the economy where we are right now, no one needs to lose their jobs.
Right.
Grocery is high, gas is high, cost of living is high as well. So to have someone be without a job for a number amount of days would just be extremely detrimental to our economy as a whole. So I am hopeful that the administration, along with the other union workers, will come together and come to an agreement before tonight at midnight.
Yeah.
So I'm really hopeful about that.
Me too.
President Biden has always been...
Did you call him Resident Biden?
President Biden.
That is so disrespectful.
He's just living in the White House.
That is so disrespectful.
So he has not or will not intervene. He made that very clear, and this just shows the.
When did he make that clear, Willie?
He did. He literally stated that he was not going to intervene if they decide to strike, and so that means that he's not concerned about the American people or the workers at hand. And quite frankly, I'm pretty sure it was an intern that was doing all the writing and the typing. But again, it's time for us to be able to move forward as a country and make sure that these people are able to get to work. Because if these ports are closed and this strike take place, it's going to be damaging to the economy. We can both agree on that.
Yeah,
it's going to be damaging
agree.
to the economy.
Well, now you know that there's that Taft-Hartley Act. Okay, and that's been coming up regarding this labor strike.
Right.
Can you tell us what it is and how does it relate to this matter?
Yeah, so it's a U.S. federal law that restricts activities and the power of the labor unions, which is very important that this is back from 1947. And this basically, if the president needs to step in and get a court order to basically stop the strike, he can. This is where I think the problem is. If Biden is already stating that he's not going to do it before it even happens, that's my concern, because this gives him the power and the ability to do so.
But then that also shows that he has confidence in those who are actually making the decisions to make them. I don't believe that he wants to see the economy tank. That would just be
the
extremely
economy's been
absurd.
tanked for 3.5 years.
Sure. But to my point, I don't think that is his heart behind the matter. I think he's giving the autonomy to the folks in the union to make a decision. And I do believe that he's able to change his mind. Should something happen or should it not come to a decision by tonight, I'm pretty sure he'll step in and make a decision.
I don't know what Biden's going to... I mean, he's sitting somewhere where he has chefs and maids to be able to cook. He's not concerned as...
Boy, I tell
we have to stock up and do what we have to do as the simple American people.
We do.
So
have to stock up,
I don't think that he's running to say, oh my God, I can't get a loaf of bread, because I'm pretty sure he has someone to roll that up for him.
Oh, okay. Now he's concerned about the middle class and, all those things. Willie, you are a trip.
We always are concerned about the middle class.
Really?
Your
party is concerned about the middle class?
We are concerned about the middle class. Everything that we have done is just teaching people how to go fish for themselves.
Really?
We don't want to be... The government has become God and the Father. And so we don't
Who's
want...
God? That's the thing.
Their own
Y'all
God
are
to
pushing,
themselves.
the Republican Party is pushing this narrative of Christian beliefs on folks who may not even believe or subscribe to Christianity.
No, we have plenty of people within the Republican Party who are not Christians.
That is true. However, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I'm
probably
sorry.
getting ahead of myself.
Okay,
here.
well, that's all right though. I mean, because this was good. I mean, we need to hear it. But I wanted to know, when has this happened before, and what were the results?
This happened in 1940s and the 70s, and it was the absolute same thing that would happen now. There was the government, the federal government had to step in, and there was an issue with the economy. And anytime our ports are closed, that is where we have our food supplies
Right.
and things come in. Yeah. And you can only imagine at that time, the cost of living was probably a better state than it is now.
Sure.
So I'm more concerned about that. Like, everything has already been in a place of suffering.
Yeah.
And so I'm concerned that the ports, I hope before midnight that we'll hear of some good things.
Yeah, me too.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, because this is really this is serious. This is like one of our most serious strikes, because everything is coming in through the port. Supplies, your business owners, entrepreneurs, like everyone is going to really be affected by this, because how are you going to get the supplies?
Right.
When they do come in, they're going to be expensive.
Yeah.
What do we do about this? In these last minutes, this is really just kind of come upon us. I guess you've kind of been hearing about it, but now it's like, this is happening.
Right.
How do we prepare in case we don't hit the mark, the deadline?
I mean, I didn't mean to cut you
Go
off,
ahead.
but I believe that you do what we typically do. You go to the grocery stores and get as much as you can. Sometimes you have to go to your churches or your local food banks and do those things. For parents with children, sometimes you have to go to other pantries or either sorts of daycares that will provide those extra amenities to you. But in this time, given that we are facing with this potential strike and with the hurricane that Florida has just, come across, and not even just Florida,
and one's
but
out there.
and one that's actually brewing right now.
Yeah.
And so we're going to see a lot of folks probably storming the stores, trying to get supplies and all those things. And so I just really pray that there's a decision tonight.
Well, now that was good. Okay, we have to take a short commercial break, but stay tuned for the social media updates, and we have the latest polls. We'll be right back after this.
I didn't hear.
Welcome back. Social media has been keeping us in the loop on 2024 presidential election. Let's check out some social media updates. Vice presidential debates often deliver many memorable moments, but historically, they have not been game changers when it comes to the final election results. So, what's your take on this year's debate being any different? Let's discuss it.
I think the first debate was a total knockout for Kamala Harris. I felt like she came out swinging. She held her composure. She spoke factually. And she spoke to the people. She spoke to the issues compared to Trump. And so with J.D. Vance and Tim Walz, having their debate tomorrow, I think it's going to be another pivotal moment for the campaign to go in the right direction. I think that, with Kamala Harris's being a Black woman and being a part of a sorority, and just having, the wherewithal to bring folks in unity. I think her running mate, Tim Walz, is going to actually bring in the other part to this puzzle. Being a white man from the the Midwest, he is able to speak the language of men, for white men who may be actually moderate or kind of on the fence about, do I need to vote for Kamala Harris and why? And so the two of them together, I think they're going to make a dynamic team when they get to the White House.
Historically, the vice presidential debates does not move the needle for the presidential. But I do think because of such how we're seeing what's happening right now in the United States, I think that what happens tomorrow is going to be pivotal, as Kia just mentioned, to what's going to take place November 5th. And so I think that both of them have to come very strong to represent both of their parties to see. But of course, we know that as the elephants that Republican Party are, not the donkeys, we're able to do what we need to do to get the job done.
Yeah. Insults. He's a spitting image of his daddy, meaning Trump, right? He hurls insults, right? Wow. From the top on down. But just to bring it back home, I do believe that tomorrow's debate is going to show the humanitarian side of Tim Walz. Like, he admitted publicly that he is extremely nervous about tomorrow's debate. And so some people find that to be like a little cowardice. I'll say that in your term that you used earlier in the segment. But I think it brings a very humanistic side to him that shows that, yes, I am a candidate for the vice presidency of the United States, but at the end of the day, I am still a human. I am still someone that gets nervous. And he was formerly a coach. And so having nerves, if you've been a player of any type of sport, I'm a former D1 player for the great Bethune-Cookman University, Hell Wildcats. And so your nerves never go away. But when you hit the stage, when the lights come on, when you feel the turf, when you feel the sweat on your brow, like, you go into go mode. And so I think tomorrow we're going to see Tim Walz in a different light, but we're going to see him as coach and, the future vice president of our country.
I think we're going to see him as the coach that knows that his play is not going to work. So I know that we're going to be able to pull through. I know that J.D. Vance is strong, and I believe that he is going to really come forward. And I think that this is going to be something that everyone is going to be able to say, wow. I think it's going to be a wowzer for both sides.
I do think it's going to be a wow factor, especially given that J.D. Vance has this thing of belittling women, especially women who have not had any children of their own, right? And so going up against another man, it's going to be interesting to see how he holds his own. A lot of his shots have been towards Kamala Harris and about immigrants and, the LGBTQIA community. But now he's going to be standing next to a man, right, who served our country.
A little bit different.
Yeah, a little bit different, a little bit different energy. So it's going to be, to my colleague's point, it's going to be a wow factor.
It's going to be a wow factor.
Wow. Speaking of debates, Mark Robinson might be facing a historic defeat in North Carolina. He's on track to experience the largest loss of a majority party gubernatorial nominee in the state in over 40 years. Shakia, can you fill us in on this?
Yeah, Mark Robinson, he is known to Trump as the Martin Luther King Jr. on steroids. And that is such a disgrace. And for Mark Robinson to actually welcome that type of notoriety from Trump, that speaks volumes about his character, one. Two, I think that the state of North Carolina deserves someone else who is actually not necessarily this perfect candidate, because you won't have a perfect candidate.
Right.
There's no possible way that either candidate can be perfect.
Right.
However, I think what the Republican Party boasts itself on is just being this staunch Republican and that they don't do any wrong. But now the covers have been pulled off
Who gets
of
that?
Mark Robinson. Your party. Don't act like that.
Who?
Do not
Who,
act like
man?
that.
Who-
So
who
Mark
you-
Robinson, for those of you who may not know, Mark Robinson is a gubernatorial candidate for North Carolina. And he went on
black
to
man.
a black man. Yes, let's note that he is a black
Please,
man.
because we hear of Harris being a black woman, so
He
let's
is a
acknowledge
black
the black
man,
man. Okay.
who has doted himself on a porn site as a
How
black
many years
Nazi.
ago, Miss Kia?
It doesn't matter.
How many
Because
ye-
when
but
you
how
are running
many-
for office, everything that you've done in the booth, in the back,
It's
in the corner of
correct,
the
but
dark
we're-
comes to
but
light.
he's running for office
Yeah.
with policy not for the Pope.
No, he's not. However, the hypocrisy of your party is what's alarming to me. Like, if you watch porn, do your thing, honey. Watch porn. But don't belittle the congregants, or not the congregants, the members of your county or of your state, and say that they are, they're homophobics, and, they should be damned to hell, and all this other type of rhetoric that your party continues to uplift. That's the hypocrisy and the bigotry that I am trying to uplift about Mark Robinson.
We have something called the Log Cabin Republican, which is it is a gay Republican group.
Yeah.
So the Republican Party is not targeting LGBT.
This is a great dynamic. I wish we could just keep on this one, because this is good. And you guys are making some great comments about this. But as we stated earlier, the 2024 presidential election is only 35 days away.
Yeah.
Who's ahead in the national polls? Let's find out. That's right. As of today, September 30th, 2024, the latest polls show that Donald Trump is coming in at 45.7%, while Kamala Harris is leading the polls with 48.5%. Now, 56% of Trump supporters say that growing diversity is threatening American culture, while 10% of Harris's backers say the same. Willie, would you agree or disagree with these statistics?
So let me just state it like this, is that we always target Republicans as if they have issue with diversity, and that's not true. I am a black Republican, okay? So then diversity is not the issue. But what it is when diversity becomes the thing where my skin color is greater than your skin color. And that's what the Republicans saying. We are American. And I know that that Democrats hate saying we are Americans because they don't like patriotism. So we are Americans all together. I am a Republican that happens to be black.
Okay.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with you being a black man who happens to be a Republican. But what's alarming, and also it makes me question, how are you able to align yourself with the views and the values and the morals that your party as a whole is perpetrating within our country? For example, you have J.D. Vance, who publicly mentioned both of them actually, Trump and Vance, mentioned a town in Springfield, Ohio, that the black immigrants, the Haitian immigrants, are eating the pets. They're eating cats and dogs.
Correction, kid. They never said Haitians.
What other immigrant community is in Springfield? It's the Haitian community.
When dealing in argument,
Willie, don't do
when you study your law and you see about arguments, it has to make sure that it's contextual. And they never use the term Haitians at all.
So if that is true, then why are the residents within that community who happen to be Haitian, since you want to get factual, who happen to be Haitian, are experiencing threats on their lives and bomb threats? Why are they afraid? 10-year-old kids are afraid to go down the street because they are Haitian, and they are there legally because their parents are actually working there on a visa for people who actually don't want to work at those facilities, which is why the company recruited those people there.
Your original statement was, how do you align with the party? I want this to be clear, and I've always said this. is that everyone have their own mind, will, and emotions. I cannot control what J.D. Vance says. I cannot control what Donald Trump says. But what I can control is how I respond to the things that I do.
Yeah.
I have been a Republican since I was 14 years old, way before Trump, way before J.D. Vance. I don't know when they started, but I'm saying before they even came on the scene.
Yeah.
And so here I am today standing on the morals of the original foundation of the Republican Party. I cannot get up. I have not had a conversation with Trump. I have not had a conversation with Vance. But what I can say is that my alignment with the Republican Party is because I know that this is the party that freed the slaves, and I know that this is the party that wants economic stability, fiscal responsibility, and wants us to be able to thrive. I do know that the Democrat Party, the party that has founded the KKK and continues to keep black and brown people on a plantation, that is something I cannot align with.
So, Will, I'm so glad you brought those contexts up, the context up, which you're true. I mean, which you're right in some aspect. But I do want to note that both parties have evolved over the years, right? So we see that the Republican Party has been extremely vocal and very certain that they are the savior of our country. You have a lot of white supremacists that have come out boldly talking about black and brown people and LGBTQIA folks, right?
But from where? We have white supremacists in the Democrats too.
But Will,
look who
serious?
look
Do
who
you really
look
think
who water holds
that Trump cares about you
the Black
as
Wall
a black
Street
man
in 1921?
But do you see
it was
but
white
can you
supremacist
answer
Democrats.
my question?
Okay.
Do you think that J.D. Vance and Trump cares
We're gonna have
about
to wrap
you
this
as a
up.
black man? And I'm gonna give you
I'm
an
sorry,
example
y'all.
about
We
that
can't keep
because you
going
have
because
Mark
they-
Robinson here,
they
who
are up
is
here
actually
telling it.
I'm sorry. I'll just finish this real quick.
Okay.
You have a black Republican who was running for the gubernatorial race in North Carolina and who doted himself as Martin Luther King Jr. on steroids. Trump has yet to come to his rescue, and he is a black Republican.
If I'm
So
not
where does that
mistaken,
leave you as a black man?
as mistaken,
I'm gonna have to break in here. Oh, I'm so up. I don't want to cut y'all off. I don't like it. But thank you all so much for tuning in to Americana. We will meet you right here tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Thank you for watching.